there are a lot of Black people in America who are disenchanted because, and brown people too, who are disenchanted because they felt like both political parties have been around forever and the conditions of people of color, Black people in this country have not changed. How do we talk about that, Omar, realistically, and then deal with what's happening right now? Because there's not going to be a mass exodus. Like, we're not packing up to go back to our respective countries and homelands. So what are we going to do?
Well, this is my country, and nobody can tell me otherwise. I was born here. I was raised here. I mean, this is where I'm from. Whether you like it or not, like decisions your ancestors made led us to this place where this is my country, and we got to make it work. As far as I feel like we have to get Orange Man out. I don't feel like we're having a lot of the conversations logically right now because of him being such a zeitgeist. That's why I'm encouraging the moderate that Biden is, if we can really call him a moderate.
What do you really feel about him?
I mean, I feel like he's really kind of to the right. I mean, he's like the most Republican Democrat I can think of for a long time. I think that my personal beliefs are that our system has a bunch of what I would say a lot of other progressive or not progressive, first world countries, recognized countries in the United Nations and such would consider almost all of our parties right. Even Nancy Pelosi, if we took her to New Zealand, she would be a far right Republican. We basically just have two parties of super far right and kind of right. Like, I don't feel like we have a lot of very progressive candidates or ideas even. Like AOC ruffles so many feathers because she's finally like one of the first people who's on the left spectrum or to the progressive side. So I think it's difficult to have the conversations because my generation, at least the people I interact with, let me not blanket my whole generation, but the way I feel and the people in my generation that I talk to and interact with, we just feel like it's one giant party. So no wonder we can't have good discussions about it because it doesn't feel like there's any difference. It's like a lot of the memes that I laugh about are like Republicans will say something like, we don't want black people. We don't want any black people in this area, or we don't want them voting on this issue. And Democrats are just saying the same thing, but it's like, hey, how about all the people we don't let vote on this issue? How about some of them are black and some of them are gay? It's like, to me, they're just two sides of one is just trying to say they're okay with it, but in the dark, they don't, help people of color. I mean, even Biden was calling people super predators. Like, that's one of Trump's only good points against him, how he really would disenfranchise the black community that was the same problem Hillary had. She was just a super predator, and all that bill they passed to incarcerate people at a crazy high rate that were particularly black and stuff like that. I mean, I can't really jive with that, man. I can't ever say I support that. And do I think Biden changed? Of course. Like, I think he learned. Of course, people learn. I don't want to be part of the cancel culture. Nobody can grow. But at the same time, this is somebody who impacted people who look like me 10 years ago, 20 years ago, that I just can't forget. Like, sure, I can understand that he grew, but I can't forget that this is the type of person that made these decisions. So it's very difficult for someone like me in this climate to exist because I don't feel like I have a voice. And back to that guy Earl's point, that's why Bernie supporters are very burned and very hurt, because we felt like he was the closest we could be to being heard, because Biden doesn't speak for us, man. He's like 80 years old, dude. And
So is Bernie, though? Bernie ain't 20.
Yeah, but when Bernie was 20, who was he marching with? What was he fighting for? He's never strayed from his path of helping the most people possible and people of color, where Biden has strayed from that path. I mean,
I get it. So, but you voted for Biden because you feel like it's necessary to get
have to. And I don't like the argument of like, don't vote. I feel like that's apathy. And I don't want to hear no complaints from apathetic people. Then when stuff doesn't work or something happens, like, instead of shut up and dribble, it should be like, people who didn't vote, they should be able to shut up. I don't want to hear nothing from you ever if you don't vote. As apathetic as I am, as anti enthusiastic I am for Biden, I still put my money where my mouth was and I voted because to me, that's how the system is designed to work, and that's the only way it's going to work. I don't want to hear after 4 years after this, I don't want to hear nobody who didn't vote, man. Straight up. Bernie supporter or whatever, even if they agree with me, I don't want to talk to you if you didn't vote.
So you believe that voting actually matters?
I mean, it's the only recourse we have. Even if it doesn't, it should help you emotionally because it's the only recourse you have.